Moving along, so we'll kick off the Woodmont PUD annual update. Who from Woodmont is presenting or would love to kick us off?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin Smith, consultant with Pillsbury Realty Development, owners of Woodmont Commons. There's two portions of the presentation this evening, and Lucy Gallo, who has annually done the fiscal impact study as is required under the PUD master plan, is with us via Zoom tonight, and I'll let her present this portion of the presentations first.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm on the Teams call. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, it's good to be back. I'm here earlier than I have been in the past few years because the town did a fantastic job in getting all the required information to me much earlier than usual. I want to thank a big thank you to Kelly Carone, Sarah Journey Lee, Justin Campo, Lisa Muse, and Amity Small. Their help and cooperation was invaluable. As usual, I'm just going to walk you through the report. We've been doing this presentation since 2013, so I think we're all pretty familiar with the process. Starting on page 4. If you can advance that to page 4, that would be great. I just wanted to remind everyone towards the bottom of the page that the fiscal matters of the Woodmont Commons development agreement outlines the requirements of the annual fiscal update. So we have been consistently applying those standards since the fiscal update requirement began back in 2013. Moving on to page 5. There is a measurement period in each annual fiscal update, and that measurement period for this particular year runs from July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. In terms of the Woodmont Commons population, 520 residents were living in Woodmont Commons at June 30th, 2025, which is an increase of about 79 residents from the prior year, and that's primarily due to an increase in the population in Baldwin. Moving on to page 7, on table 2. It's very exciting to, over the years, to see the build out of Woodmont Commons as it becomes a true live, work, play community. On deck for 2026 are Dairy Medical Center and the Woodmont Wood Partners apartments. Those are the Alta Oak and Pines apartments. So they weren't included in this particular fiscal update because they were not placed in service prior to June 30th, 2025. But you'll see the effects of those in the next year's fiscal update. So for this report, there were 227 employees at businesses located in Woodmont Commons. Towards the bottom of that page, you'll see a new disclosure. In August 2025, the Londonderry Town Council voted to provide a tax exemption for part of the Baldwin senior living property. So essentially, the value was lowered from $60 million at the assessment period April 1, 2024 to $5 million at the assessment period April 1, 2025. The effect of that tax exemption wasn't felt in the June 30th, 2025 report, so you won't see it here, but the effect will filter through the June 30th, 2026 report next year. Kind of the good news, even though that was a drop in taxable value, the Dairy Medical Center and the 264 Wood Partners apartments coming on help offset that decline in tax value, so that timing worked out great. And I'll show you on page 8 what I'm talking about. So if you'll notice on table 3, in that column that says tax fiscal year revenue, the 2026. So you'll see that 196 million, that amount includes the impact of the loss in value from the Baldwin, but the pickup in value of the Alta Open Fine Apartments and what portion of the DRE2 Medical Center. So although we had the values included in full of the Baldwin for the 2025 report, we still are projecting an increase in value for the 2026 report due to the overall growth that's happening in the project. On page 9, in table 4, really the crux of this report, I think that's probably most sensitive to the town and the citizens, is making sure that we do a thorough job of analyzing potential new costs that the town is experiencing, both operating costs and capital costs. So every year that's a really a joint effort with town staff as well as school district staff to make sure that we capture any expenses that may be assignable to Woodmont Commons or an adequate portion there according to the development agreement. In this particular year, the town added 4 additional firefighters due to overall growth. So in table 5, we've allocated the cost related to those firefighters to Woodmont Commons, and that's about $7,000. And then on page 10, ever since the Central Fire Station was placed into service, we have allocated a portion of the debt service related to the Central Fire Station debt service, and that's about $10,000. So under table 7, you'll see that total operating costs of the town that have been affected by the Woodmont Commons growth in both the residential and commercial portions, we're allocating about $17,000 annually. And we look at that every year. On page 11, under table 8, table 8 really tells the story of Woodmont Commons from the inception. You can see back in 2014, the annual net revenues that the project was producing for the town were about $158,000 annually. The net values have grown to $750,000 annually, effective with the 6/30/2025 update. And cumulatively, the project's produced $4.3 million in net revenues for the town. And right under that table, you'll notice the conclusion that based on this analysis, no amounts are due to the town under the terms of the development agreement. And right there on the Londonderry School District, this year there were 20 public school children living in Woodmont Commons. There were 18 last year. We may see a pickup in the report next year as we add those Alta Open Fines apartments in there were public school children living there. So we may have a bit of a jump in public school children next year. And then on page 9, on the next page, on table 9, on the next page, the annual tax revenues to the school district are $1.8 million, and cumulatively, Woodmont Commons has generated $9.6 million for the school district. On page 13, the next page, thus far, this is kind of the center of that page, thus far there have been no allocable incremental operating or capital expenditures that Woodmont Commons has generated for the school district in this particular fiscal update. And if you want to scroll forward to take a look at appendix tables 1 and 2, I think it's always helpful if you want to understand the detailed components of what's happening with the tax base for Woodmont Commons. This is a list of all the parcels and their assessed values. This Appendix Table 1 are the assessed values that generated property taxes for June 30th, 2025, which is the report we're looking at right now. And then Appendix Table 2 represents the assessed values that will generate property taxes that will be recognized in next year's report. So this is both exciting to watch the growth of Woodmont Commons and the tax dollars and tax values that it's generating for the community, and to track that every year since 2013 has really been a pleasure for me. So I'm proud to be a part of the working with the town on this project. I hope I didn't go too fast. I'm used to being last on the agenda, not first. I always try to speed through when I'm last, and it's a late agenda item. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you very much. The board have any questions, comments on the fiscal report? Yes, go ahead, Ann. And Ann, if you could just speak into the mic.
Okay, I was just going to ask Kevin if I could get a hard copy of it. It was hard for me to understand with my hearing aids.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other questions about the fiscal impact?
No, it's good to see that the plan worked. And, you know, what the town put in place to make sure that the taxes were being paid by the development and not by the residents, looks like it continues to work in that direction. So that's good.
Each year's been good, and I think we're used to it, what to look for anyway.
This fiscal report is available on our website currently, as you know, as part of this evening's agenda, as well as.
It will be uploaded to the Woodmont page.
Excellent.
After this meeting.
Good. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Thanks to Lucy and her hard work.
We're good with Lucy?
Lucy,
Thank you very
we're
much.
good.
Look forward to seeing you next year. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy.
All right. Kevin,
Yeah.
you're up.
Thank you. Just going to have Kelly load the PowerPoint. Mr. Chair, once again, my name is Kevin Smith. I'm a consultant with the Woodmont Project. Also here this evening with me is Ari Pollack, no doubt a familiar face to most of you. Ari is the attorney on the Woodmont development and has been since its inception. I'm just going to briefly run through this PowerPoint this evening just to give you an update of where we're at and what's in the pipeline. So new for this last year, the Wood Partners Oak and Pine 264 multifamily units came online in late summer. I believe they received their last CO, certificate of occupancies, in late fall. And they are doing very well thus far with their lease-up rates. Beth Israel Leahy Clinic opened to the public officially this past February. In 2026. That was originally built by Derry Medical Center. They then sold it to Leahy Clinic. And so we're very happy to be having doctors from the Leahy network now operating out of Londonderry. Exit 4A, Phase 2 work started in the fall of 2025. As you're all aware, Phase 1 of Old Rum Trail and the interchange was completed last year, and so Phase 2 now is underway in the town of Derry, and that also includes the infamous tunnel of the rail trail that finally was worked out between the rail trail folks and the state of New Hampshire. And lastly, construction has commenced on the Pillsbury Road pump station on the north side of Pillsbury Road. Just some pictures there. There's the Oak and Pine. There's the Leahy Clinic. That is Phase 2 of the construction at 4A. And that is where the Pillsbury Road pump station will be located. I've seen lots of online posts about people wondering what is going on there, despite there having been a lot of notices and signs talking about what that is. So just reiterating one more time, that is a pump station for sewer that will service a lot of the Woodmont Commons development on the west side, but also some portions outside of Woodmont as well at a future date. What is in the pipeline? And I want to just preface this before I get to it to say that it has been my experience both working on the municipal side and working on the development side now that you really can't count on anything until there's a certificate of occupancy. The development process is a long, winding, complicated road that can often take many years, beginning when a developer or a user looks at a piece of land to getting to a letter of intent, an LOI with the seller, and then getting to a purchase and sales agreement with the seller, and then going through their due diligence phase. And then if they make it through that, they go into design review with the municipality. And then after design review, they go to the planning board. If they're able to receive a conditional approval from the planning board, they still have to meet all of those conditions in order to get to signed plans. Once they get to signed plans, they have a pre-con meeting. Then construction can begin. And then after construction is complete, can they get their CO? And I have literally seen development stall at every single one of those phases along the way, to include starting construction and not completing it, which is why the town makes developers take out construction bonds in case they don't complete projects. So I preface that with saying what's in the pipeline. These are all in various stages within that process, but none of them have, obviously, their certificate of occupancy at this point. So on the west side, currently under planning board review is the Procopio project, which was mentioned earlier, which is proposing 310 a village on the north side of Pillsbury Road. Signed purchase and sales agreements we have for 200 plus residential units and 15,000 square feet of retail along Main Street on blocks what we call 4 and 6. That's across the street from where the 30 Main Street building currently exists. We also have a signed PNS for 30,000 square feet of a physical rehab center that would have 30 beds. Letters of intent. We have 2 letters of intent from hotel developers. And then also 6,000 square feet of retail restaurant use next to Dairy Medical Center. And then interest, looking at land. We have a developer who is looking at the one block, that is the block right out in front as you enter the Woodmont Commons development after TJ Maxx, to develop retail and restaurant pads there. On the east side, the 4A side, south of Old Rum Trail, the planning board conditionally approved 750,000 square feet of industrial use there. Right now, there have been negotiations with a high-tech manufacturing company for 400 jobs and 350,000 square feet of high-tech manufacturing, and then also a 200,000 square foot warehouse storage facility. As far as in the LOI phase or the PNS phase, north of Old Rum Trail, we're in talks with 2 major retail users, as well as an outfit looking to do 350 units of multifamily residential. All of this density that you're seeing on both the east side and west side is in compliance with the Pillsbury PUD. Nothing more, well, it is less, but it's not more than what the PUD has allowed. So all of this you are seeing here is within the density limits of the Woodmont Commons PUD. So how much density remains? On the west side, that's the west side of I-93, used and planned right now are 917 units. That's 30 Main that's already built, the Oak and Pine that's already built, Gilcrest Road, and then Procopio, which has not been approved yet, but I've included in that number because it's under review. And then also I added in there that Main Street developer, which is an additional 228 units. That gets you to 917. As far as commercial space remaining, there's, commercial space that's been used already, 620, little over 621,000 square feet. That includes Dairy Medical Center 1, Leahy Clinic, the Baldwin, 603 Brewery, 30 Main Street, the retail space, and then again I added in the Physical Rehab Center as well as the Main Street developer. And then there's also been 26,000 square feet of assisted living space used from the Baldwin. So what's remaining on the west side? 163 units of residential. That breaks down into 53 what I'll call regular units and 110 ADU or studio one bedrooms of 750 square feet or less. Almost 365,000 square feet of commercial office space remains, as well as 54,000 square feet of assisted living, though it's doubtful that would be used unless it was used by the Baldwin, as they have a restriction on it, and then 150 hotel rooms. And I highlighted the areas here of where that remaining space remains. And as you can tell from those previous numbers, the bulk of this will be commercial, retail, restaurant use, because most of the housing has been said for at this point as far as what's in the pipeline. The 6.8 acres that you see there, that is where the Main Street developer would be building there. The only areas that are not highlighted on here that I would draw your attention to is there are still 38 acres up on Hovey Road, on the other side of Hovey Road from where Procopio is proposing their development. There's an acre of land right next to 603 Brewery, and there's the 2.5 acres behind where Leahy Clinic has built, and that is where the proposed physical rehab facility is being proposed. How much density on the east side remains? So planned and used, again, conditionally approved is 750,000 square feet of industrial. So remaining options, and I put options because you couldn't fit all of this into that area, are 350 units of residential, 200 hotel rooms, 700,000 square feet of commercial office, and 420,000 square feet of institutional use, hospital, assisted living, et cetera. And again, this is looking at the 4A side. You have to the south of Old Rum Trail, 750,000 square feet of industrial, and then you have approximately 92 acres to the north that's unsaid for right now. Now for the big announcement of the night. You may have heard recently that the Kraft family has announced the location of the new stadium for the New England Revolution at 4A, right on the corner.
What?
Huge news. Now,
Well, so that goes against every policy and procedure that we have in this town.
well, and Jeff, I'm going to tell you that
What date it is?
I know.
if you haven't figured out by now, it is April 1st, also commonly known as April Fool's Day. This is not happening. Don't worry, it's not happening. I'm sure it will not stop an anonymous poster on Facebook tomorrow, but I can guarantee you this is definitely not happening.
Yeah, I just got a text. It's out there.
Never fails.
It's out there.
Kelly Ayott's calling me?
Kevin was just kidding.
This is definitely not
how far
happening. Not a joke, though, is the fiscal impact that Lucy went over. So, again, I don't think it can be understated. This is the net tax revenue that Woodmont has delivered to Londonderry. And it's important to say net tax revenue because this takes into account all of the expenses, such as police and fire EMT calls over to Woodmont Commons, any school impact. That's all taken into account. That in 2025, a little over $2.5 million in net tax revenue came out of Woodmont, and overall, since its inception, it's been over close to $16 million in net tax revenue. Those are not small numbers, and as Mr. Farrell pointed out, this was by design of what the fiscal impact agreement was supposed to do. And that ends the presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Much appreciated. The board have any questions? Jason?
Hey, Kevin. I think it's funny you put the revolution up there because it seems like that's the only real estate quest that's gone on longer than Woodmont at this point. So, it's been 13 years. You know, every year it seems like you come up here, and for a while it was Pillsbury, and I noticed then they decided to stop coming. People are tired of hearing we're getting interest. You know, like we're this close. You know, seems like the only thing, you know, as you and I talk about every year, only thing getting built over there is residential and doctor's offices, and now the P&S is a rehab center, which is another doctor's office, along with other residential. You know, I drive through Bedford and I see what they're building on 2nd Street there, or 2nd Street. I drive, obviously Tuscan Village is its own city practically at this point now, and those were both started after the master plan for this was approved. I drive down Michael's Way and I get a little embarrassed because it still just is a lot of scrubland surrounded by doctor's offices and apartments. The economic outlook, as you know, is getting worse by the day. And I can't help but feel like we've missed the window on this, and that a lot of this interest and purchase and sales is going to go away, and eventually, you know, one of these years you guys are going to come and say, well, the only thing we can do is residential. It's frustrating. I hear it all the time from anyone who finds out that I'm on the planning board. What is happening over there? And I wish we could tell them it's something other than apartments and doctor's offices. I don't know why we can't at least do something there. Like, why can't there be a farmer's market or a Christmas market or something like use the land? Like, rather than just have giant piles, turn those into sledding hills. You know, like do something to make the land. Yeah, there's a tax that it's tax positive, and that's great to hear. But people did not get excited about, oh, I can't wait to get, you know, $2.5 million in net tax revenue. People got excited because you sold us on this awesome development, not you, but the people you work for who are paying you to be here to take their bullets, sold us on this great development in North Carolina. It's going to be just like that. And here we are 13 years later, and we're still hearing, no, it's really, one of these days, it's going to be just like that. And every year it gets a little farther away. So it's depressing. This is probably the most depressing meeting we have every year because it feels like it's the same PowerPoint presentation every year. And it's unfortunate, you know, and I wish they were here, but they're smart business people who have decided to let somebody else take the slings and arrows. So, yeah, hopefully one of these years is actually something to report on. So, thank you.
Kevin, could you talk about the overall economics of the project? And you're a smart guy. You see what the public says and such, but what, like, I definitely want to look for solutions and, you know, find the win-win for everyone involved. What are the economic drivers? Why is Londonderry just not I guess, and I'm not saying that I believe this, why isn't it desirable? Why isn't that land desirable? It's in the middle of, two highway exits right off 93. Part of me, the business part of me says, well, you have to put the people, you have to build the infrastructure for the people so you can attract the retail. But then the other kind of concept and, a counterpoint argument that I sometimes get is, well, we have 27,000 people in here already. Isn't that enough for a pizza place?
Right.
I don't know. So I'm just I'm trying, I've been, researching that. I'm trying to just understand, what is less desirable about Londonderry and this location, and why hasn't there been more retail establishments or stuff like that?
Yeah, so a lot of good questions there, and Jason, as you know, I share your frustrations on the speed at which it's developed out. And I remain an eternal optimist on it as a resident in town and a neighbor almost of the development. And I think back to when it was first approved in 2013, and it was always said it was going to be a 20-year build-out, and we are now in year 13, so it's got to get going. But I share the similar frustrations with that, and it hasn't been for lack of trying.
I know.
We've have met with so many different potential retail restaurant users over the years. It's interesting because exit 4A, everyone wants to be there. It's right off the highway. They look at it as amazing visibility, and that's why right out of the gate we're getting all of this interest and people wanting to be there because of the accessibility. To us as residents of the community, this area seems very accessible. Every single time that we have a potential user come in, I remind them that market basket is number one in the state for sales volume. It's number one. 20,000 plus people a week go through that plaza. That's a staggering number. To a lot of these users, they see it as so far off of 102 that they got to drive into this development, and they feel like they're going to be out in no man's land. Now, if you talk to Chris Nickerson, who runs Derry Medical Center, he'll tell you the best movie ever made was leaving his old building on Buttrick Road and building there. He said because they get so much drive-by traffic and they've brought in so many new patients because they're so much more visible. So we use him to say, well, talk to some of these other potential users, like the hotel users, and tell them that this is not going to be as tough a sell to drive people here as you might think it is. There was the chicken and egg thing with the residential portion. When it was just starting out, the feedback was, we want to see more rooftops, Right now, all we see is open fields and apple trees, right? Well, now they're seeing the rooftops. And in fact, the people living in those rooftops are going, where are the amenities? We want to have restaurants. We want to have other things to walk to in and around Woodmont. So I think it's coming to a critical mass. And trust me, all of us within the Woodmont internal team want to see it happen. We want to see this development get to a finality and have it be done and have it be delivered with what was told to the community. I've read this stuff online when people say, well, we're not getting what we were sold that we're told we're going to get. Well, as I just showed you, there's a lot of land that's still not developed. And to this point, nothing that has come in thus far, as I said, is deviated from the master plan, right? There's a finite amount of residential. There's still a lot of commercial that can go in. And I can tell you, so long as I'm around and working on this project, there'll be no one coming in asking for one more residential unit over what has been given to the development. Because now the infill has to come, and the infill should be amenities that serve not only the residents of that community, but of the entire community. And as far as the economics, Jeff, yeah, they were probably better pre-COVID. There's no doubt about that. But stuff is still being built. there's still deals to be made. They're tougher to get them to pencil out in today's environment than they were 5 years ago. But I'm not seeing a complete drawback. We're seeing the restaurants get built. I think I told the story last year that, we had the folks in from the Copper Door. We put the hard sell on them to put a copper door in downtown Woodmont. And the feedback, two things we were told. One, it's too far off 102. We're not going to get the visibility we need, which I was like, you need visibility? Like, everybody knows the copper door, and it's always packed when you go there, whether it's Bedford or Salem. And the other feedback I got was, we're already in Bedford and Salem, we're capturing Londonderry. And that's the mindset, right? But we're not going to keep pushing for those things because we know the community wants those things. We want those things, so that when you go through there, you are just as proud as when you drive through, say, a Tuscan village.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
So, Tuscan Village had full water and sewer when it started.
Right.
And Second Street over in Bedford had full water and sewer when it started. When are you going to have full water and sewer? Because I know you don't have the capacity in Derry.
Right. We'll have full water and sewer capacity once that sewer pump station on Pillsbury Road is completed. At that point, we'll have the entirety of sewer and water available to serve the density that was in the master plan. So to your point, John, that master plan was passed with the density, but neither the water nor the sewer to support it at the time. The water's now there. Penachuk built the water tank and the transmission line and pump station last year. So now the water's there to serve the entirety of the development. The sewer will be there hopefully in December of 27 when that's completed.
So what Jason's talking about, you're not going to see until that's complete.
Correct, because
Just-
right.
Yeah.
Right now, there's not enough.
But it could be argued, why did it take 12 years to get to that?
Because it costs about $20 million.
But that's part of the cost of developing this thing, right?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying why.
I mean, like, if you knew that you needed water and sewer, and why did it take 12 years for it to get to that?
Well, no, but it shouldn't be lost that there is a big cost to all of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at what went in Woodmont to begin with, before any building showed up, you had a widened Route 102. You know, that state didn't pay for that portion around Woodmont. Woodmont paid for it, including Hampton Way, parts of Gilcrest Road, all of those lane widenings. That was all borne by Woodmont. Then it had to put the roadways into the development leading up to Pillsbury, and had to build the sewer infrastructure, the water infrastructure, the gas infrastructure, and all the drainage ponds before a single building ever went up. I mean, you're probably talking around $30 million just in infrastructure.
Which should have been considered in the development costs.
Well, and it is, but when you're doing this project, it's such a large project, it couldn't be done in, say, 5 years or 10 years. That's why it was always said it was a 20-year build-out. Now a lot of that infrastructure is in. And, you know, with receiving the grant, the town receiving the grant from Washington on the sewer infrastructure helped out tremendously in getting that pump station built, because that pump station is, what, $6.5 million, John? So there's definitely, we agree, there's cost to development. In this case, there's a lot of cost to that development.
Yeah, my point was the speed is,
Yeah, no,
the infrastructure was there already in the other two places.
I get that.
Kevin,
The question
can I
was
ask
why
a
it took that
question?
long.
I get it. I
That
understand.
sewer infrastructure, the sewer line you're talking, you said there'd be another user when you were speaking earlier of
Say
the
that
sewer line, the sewer line.
Oh, no,
That's
what I
going-
was saying is that sewer pump station and the transmission line to connect it to Manchester will primarily serve Woodmont, but I believe there might be capacity, John, to serve,
It's primarily Woodmont.
yeah. There may be some excess capacity there that will also
For
serve,
Londonderry?
potentially.
Okay, I hope,
More
I
of a
was glad
John
you
question
didn't say
than it is a Kevin
Manchester,
question.
so, I was glad you didn't say Manchester or a different town. I
No.
appreciate that anyways, if you do have the excess capacity. So,
Any, Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's a bunch of takeaways here, and I'm very fortunate that I don't participate in the online forums for a whole bunch of reasons, but occasionally people throw screenshots at me, which are much less painful than the other shots you could be getting. The north side housing that's going to come in was always going to be housing, correct?
Yes.
It was, the housing on that side was always part of the PUD master plan and part of the development agreement.
It was, and I would also add that if you actually look at the PUD master plan, it called for housing and some commercial development up there as well. Mm-hmm. Under the plan that's been presented, there's no commercial development in that section, just the housing.
Yeah, so the fact that the keyboard warriors are screaming about excess development and excess housing is not true?
It's not true in the sense that that was the planning board approved those number of homes there when they approved the PUD.
Thank you, that's all I have.
but some of those homes were above commercial,
Could have been.
yes.
So is it, may I?
Go ahead, Tony.
So is there a point, what are you saying?
No, I just remember the whole plan because I was there.
I understand, I was too, but I don't understand what, does the comment mean that,
That there was also commercial planned up there.
so you're saying it would have been better with commercial, or it doesn't matter, or I don't understand what the comment is?
No, I mean,
It's just an
I
observation?
like the original plan, and if this is the best, I shouldn't say it is the best that can be done, because I was looking for the commercial development anywhere on the property, basically. And it is a lot of residences up there. And it would have been nice if there was something for those residents across the street, you know?
I say, I get it. But just to put a bow around it, it's the same number of units.
Oh, I know.
I'm asking, is it?
Yes.
It is the same amount of
Yes.
units. It's just that there's, to Ann's point, there's no services for those
Yeah.
units.
Up in that area.
Yeah, is that what?
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you. Now, I couldn't figure out where it was going, so, thank you, I appreciate it. All set, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from the board?
And again, there is no soccer stadium coming. I want to be very clear about
It's
that.
too late.
You have to repeat that about 50 times.
I'm taking that slide out when I have to post this.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm not dealing with those calls. You can take them.
It's too late. You can't unsee it.
Kraft would never move it out of Massachusetts anyway, so we're good.
Yeah, but that parking lot for 5,000 cars.
Well, they are saying that the
Excellent.
minor leagues.
All right, Kevin, and thank you very much.